Early in the morning, I get up. I have my ablutions. I open the puja room. I light the lamp. Spend half an hour there. Take some flowers or other things and offer them at the feet of the idol. Now, if you think this to be worship, this is not right. This may be the beginning point as a kindergarten class. That's all. It is never a narrow one or a one-pointed one or a time-oriented one. The worship should be a quality, an expression, an attitude of the worshipper. You may begin from anywhere. Try to broaden it, deepen it, elevate it, make it more and more comprehensive and wholesome. It has to touch and act upon the worshipper's personality. Every day after worship, during worship, you should examine, ask the question, has today's worship touched my heart? My heart. Did I feel the presence of God? Did I feel an elevation, a buoyancy created by devotion? This question should be there. Then, in the matter of worship, we are worshipping the mute idols. What interaction can we have with a mute agency? Whereas wise people, you know, this Mukti-skandham is the one where Krishna is going to instruct Uddhava. Krishna is 125 years old. Correspondingly, Uddhava also is old. Krishna is going to ask Uddhava, when Uddhava said, I am not able to stand your separation. You are going to leave the earth. So take me where you go. How can anybody take another man when he dies? It is not possible. So Krishna understood the crisis and said, Uddhava, you better go when I am still living. Go to Badrikashrama. Poor Uddhava was not able to do that. So he says, I am not able to do what you said, though I consider that you are my Lord. I have been so close to you, intimate with you. So instruct me so that the delusion will be taken away. Now this is going to be the subject matter of Mukti-skandham, the Mukti-skandham. Now as a preliminary, we are now discussing the Bhagavata dharmas presented by the Navayogis to King Nimi. And Avirhotra has been speaking. I have been exposing that portion. Now here you should understand the mute idols and other agencies that we worship and the wise people with whom we can interact, before whom we can place our crisis, our needs, our difficulties, our delusions, and who after hearing you will speak to you, converse with you and remove. They grace you, they look at you, they are compassionate, they can pat you, they can do whatever they like. Now between the wise people on the one hand and the mute idols, understand what or which or whom you should prefer. What is preferable? This is something very important. Worshipping of God is not worshipping in a place of an object. No. Worshipping God is worshipping the entire creation. You must have a feeling of godliness or godhood with respect to the whole creation, Panchabhautik world. Once you start feeling that the whole world is God, then you become very friendly and considerate. Even a dog, a street dog, when it comes in front of your house looking for some food, don't allow him to steal food from your kitchen. Give something to him. Hunger is common to all people. Try to appease the hunger wherever you can, to whichever extent you can. When you are hungry, will you not take food? Similarly, try to give food to whomever. It may be a creature, it may be an animal. In our houses, there is a celebrated practice. What is that? We put alpana, the floor decoration, with rice powder. This powder is meant for the ants to take. There are some people who will crush stones and make powder and do alpana. No, put it with the rice powder. It is meant for crawling things to eat. If there are birds coming to your house, try to feed them some little rice or something and keep a pot full of water. Let them suck from it. I think all these are very important. being conscious of the need of each and catering to each to the extent you can. Don't reject anybody. We are told that satpatre sadhupatre cha. You should always give to somewhere where it deserves. It's okay, provided you know the party. But there are people who come in a strange manner. You cannot discriminate. So with the idea that God dwells in everybody, try to give whatever you can. Though you must be equally concerned with the welfare of all creatures, sarva bhuta hite rataha, as Krishna puts it, you should be more conscious of the needs of the human society around. After all, we are a human. They alone can share, articulate, listen to, absorb, assimilate. So there is a difference in the practical level between human suffering and the suffering of the rest of the creatures. If you are so great to feel equally for all, very good, I have no objection. But at least you must be sensitive about the suffering of humanity around. Hari spoke of this kind of an expansion of worship and divinity. Kavi spoke about it. That is what he meant by saying, Kham Vayumagnim Salilam Mahim Cha Jyotim Shi Satvani Disho Drumadin Sarit Samudramscha Hare Shariram Yatkinja Bhutam Pranamed Ananya. This is a verse I often repeat so that listeners and hearers will be able to learn it. Let the constricted mind expand. Let the narrow notion of devotion and God give place to something broader and universal. Any act of man, any act anywhere is an expression of the actor. It is primarily and ultimately meant to benefit and fulfill him. Worship also is something like that, is all the more so. When you cook food and feed the members of the family, they are all very happy. When you cook some food and offer it to God, there is no God with a stomach who will partake of it. So this you should understand. Still you are doing it, not for feeding God, I have already explained it, but by the act of offering, you feel so realistic about God. That realism has come, and that realism will grace you, comfort you, and reward you. All these very clearly emphasize one point. What is that point? Every form of worship is to take you to your own inner self. That inner self is really the God whom you seek and worship. That is the supreme reality. Sreemad Bhaagavatam has clearly explained it through the mouth, through the tongue of Sudha to the enlightened assembly around, where they asked him, tell me the supreme truth in all the scriptures put together. He said, Vadanti tat tattva vidaha tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. The supreme truth is in the nature of a non-dual knowledge. Tattvam yajnanamadvayam. God is a tattva. He is not like earth or water. He is not a gross or a physical or an external existence. He is a cognition. He is something that you can understand, comprehend by your mind, intelligence and heart. That Advaya Jnana, Jnana where no division is ever meant or possible. That Advaya Jnana itself is Brahmedi, Paramatmedi, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. That itself is the supreme Brahman. That itself is called Paramatma, and that also is called Bhagavan. So what is the truth, my dear viewers? The supreme reality, the ultimate truth is Advaya Jnana. Words like God, Paramatma and Parabrahma are only synonyms of that supreme knowledge. Evam agnyarkato yadav adithau hridaye jayah yajatishwaram atmanam ajiran muchyate hi saha. When I am speaking for Mukti-skandham, the Malayalam telecast in the other channel, people are writing to me. When I explain in this manner, some of the people write to me, Swamiji, your explanation is so penetrating, so touching, so wholesome, so elevating, that I feel I am liberated. Is it wrong? One person was writing to me. Yes, it is so. It is so. I want the minds of all people to expand, to enlarge. Don't beg for purity. Don't search for it. Don't hunt it. Feel and be pure. Feel the purity and become pure. It is your privilege, your birthright. As a human, we are born with a perishable body and an imperishable soul. Only the human body can understand it properly, not the others. It requires the human skull and the human brain to conduct an examination into oneself. The animals, birds and reptiles, all of them also see the external world. We also see. There is no difference. But alas, all of them end up there. They cannot close their eyes and see inside. Imagine a dog who is put in a cage. Throughout the day he will be there. He cannot go outside. He is restricted. It is hard austerity for him. Does he become a self-knower? Certainly not. Suppose a man were to be put in that manner. There are some people during the independence struggle, imprisonment, etc., they used to say, it seems Pandit Malavya once said, if I am put in prison and I am allowed to take one book along with me, I will take Sreemad Bhaagavatam. Another man said, I will take Mahabharatam. Another man said, I will take Ramayana. Do you mean to say our dogs? They can do it. We alone can do it. The human body alone facilitates this inner search, inner comprehension. The external world all are indulging in, but the internal horizon is received only for the human. So, yajati ishwaram atmanam ajirad mucyatehi saha. When you start understanding Ishvara to be the Atma, and throughout your life, throughout the 24 hours, the entire life and activity and interaction become a wholesome offer of worship to this inmost Lord, then I think redemption is close by. You will not have to wait for a long time. I think we have completed the 3rd chapter with the 55th verse. So this particular chapter has ended. Seated before King Nimi or Nimi Chakravarti, there is a row of 9 yogis. They are Kavi, Hari, Antariksha, Prabuddha, Pipalayana, Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa and Karabhajana. Now each one was speaking about Bhagavata Dharmas from one point of view or another. We have already covered Kavi's version, Hari's version, Antarikshas, Prabuddhas, Pipalayanas and Avirhotras. The next is actually Drumila. But that portion, I don't feel like discussing it before you. But in Mukti-skandham, a Malayalam telecast, I take everything in Srimad Bhagavatam because the audience is so much attuned to the devotional text called Srimad Bhagavatam. I am not very sure whether the English audience, the English viewers that I have, will be equally attuned to this celestial, beautiful, nectarine scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, in the same manner as I have in the other Malayalam telecast. You know, the regional language always attracts a far more number of people. Whenever you go and speak in the regional language, all the people around will come. But that language cannot be understood by the people of the other regions. Now when I give a telecast in English, it cannot be like the regional one, because people belonging to different parts of the country and speaking all the different languages, some of them will be there knowing English, so all of them can together listen to this. That is why our English knowing people particularly insisted upon me, persuaded me, or entreated me, you can say, to give a telecast, Inner Spiritual Splendor. But I have my own doubt. Most of the English speaking people are anglicized. They are given to Western nature in many ways. That English has got that connotation. So I am doubtful whether all of you are equally attuned to the Srimad Bhagavata enunciation. Compared to the number of letters and responses I get for the Malayalam telecast, it is amazing. People from various parts of the rural settings, they are writing to me, speaking to me, educated people as well as illiterate people, all of them are in touch with me. But I am not finding a similar response from all of you. In fact, I expect a far more enlightened response from you, the viewers. But somehow it is missing. But nevertheless, we are not going to relax our efforts. Our purpose is to divinize all of you, to spiritualize all of you, to bring the all-pervading God to your very heart, within your very family, to implant Him in your interactions, in your behavior, in your character, both outside you and inside you. This is the purpose. So far as the purpose of the enunciation is concerned, I am not going to relax at all. But I am only wondering whether you, the viewers, are always in touch with me. Are you sufficiently inspired? Are you enlightened? Do you get the ecstasy, the delight, the rejoicing, the exultation which Srimad Bhagavata is supposed to generate, enhance, deepen and bestow upon you? This I am still waiting for a proper response from a number of you, all of you viewers. So spare some time and let me know how you are faring in the hands of Srimad Bhagavatam through this inner spiritual splendor. Raja Uvaja. King Nimi, at the end of Avirhotra's discourse, he starts speaking. So one portion I am missing, Drumila. Bhagavantam harim prayo na bhajanti atmavittamaha tesham ashantakamanam ka nishtha avijidatmanam. So after every discourse by one of the nine, King Nimi raises a particular point. Whatever he wanted to know, he expresses it before them so that they are motivated, they are persuaded, they are inspired to speak to him. After all, what we are speaking, the recipient is listening. You know, for any exposition, there are a few stages. One is exposition itself. An exponent can expose a point of view or a branch of wisdom only when people in front are able to receive it with affinity, with attention. In my case, I am speaking to you looking into the camera. I don't have any access to the faces of my viewers. Nevertheless, we are going on with the program. That is why I say, you should communicate to me how you fare in the hands of Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly inner spiritual splendor. So if the exposition has to be effective, it has to be accompanied simultaneously by a very vibrant note of reception. All of you should receive what is exposed. So these are bilateral. The exponent exposes, the listeners and the hearers, they receive. So that reception is the response for the exposition. Both run parallelly. After the exposition is made in the hands of the receiving people, the exponent withdraws. It is for the people who have received the exposition to think and deliberate upon, ruminate or reflect upon, introspect over what you have received, what is exposed. I can hardly do anything about it. It is for you to ruminate over what is exposed. And if you ruminate for sufficient number of hours or minutes, you will find the ideas get assimilated into your system. What do I mean by assimilation? They become part and parcel of your inner personality being. You were taught arithmetics at one time. Addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. In the school classes these were taught. For those students who have learned them well, is not the knowledge ingrained in you now, ever since? Yes. Exactly in the same manner, this Sreemad Bhagavata exposition which Swami Bhoomananda Tirtha is doing should get assimilated in your system. Wherever you go, whatever you do, either think or speak or act, this must find a place. I have heard, I have reflected upon, I have understood. I know that God is all-pervading. The only place where I have to focus my attention is my mind. And the attention should result in purification of the mind, making the intelligence more and more brilliant. I will automatically feel a spiritual and devotional and a yogic buoyancy in my being. A proper reception will lead definitely to your own personal and independent rumination or reflection or introspection. The number of hours you spend for this will determine how well, how soon, how effectively you have assimilated the message. When properly assimilated, you will certainly feel a buoyancy, an exhilaration, even ecstasy in your system. Whatever is assimilated becomes part, an inseparable part of your inner personality. You know what is the next step? It will start expressing in your activities and interaction. So what are the stages or phases? Exposition, reception, both are bilateral and simultaneous. Following that, reflection or rumination resting upon you. Then assimilation, the resultant outcome, expression thereafter. Now these are the 4 different stages of exposition. Now I can try to expose the subject in as best a manner as I can. I am very particular that this great treasure should be made available to all my viewers. I am very particular about it. Bhagavantam harim prayo na bhajanti atmavittamaha tesham ashanta kamanam ka nishtha avijita atmanam. A very beautiful and pertinent question. So far he was hearing about what are the Bhagavata dharmas, how they can be practiced, how they take a devotee to higher and higher stages, and how his vision transforms itself to one of universality, etc., etc. Now the king is asking another point. Bhagavantam harim prayo na bhajanti he atmavittamaha. Oh, knowers of truth. There are people who knowingly or unknowingly do not worship Lord Hari. Tesham ashanta kamanam. If they are not worshipping Lord Hari, it clearly implies that their mind has got contrary desires. If no place for God, the place will only be for the world, and the world consists of infinite plurality. All of them try to gain a ground in the mind of the man. So the mind is driven by plural tendencies, plural desires, plural emotional reflexes, etc. Ashanta kamanam. The desires in their mind are not attenuating at all. Ka nishtha avijita atmanam. As a result of which, they never think of anything like a supreme or an immortal self in their body. They feel body alone is everything. Though every day during sleep, they become totally forgetful of the body, unconscious of the body, and wake up to say, I slept. So there was somebody different from the body who knows the sleep, having slept, and who comes out with the memory. But that eye doesn't hold any water for them. They think that it's all the biological aggregate called the body. Ka nishtha avijita atmanam. Thus, completely neglecting or cut away from, distanced from anything like spirituality, morality, ethics, religion, devotion, yoga and the like.